is the products are already in the system. It's already in the network, and the government's decision to ban Huawei's, and it's not just Australia, it's Canada, I think America, and there's a whole lot of countries doing this right now. There's already trials happening right now. Would we be seeing this in the end of the year or within Australia, that sort of coming to the mass consumers?
It's inevitable. I think it's inevitable. There's more things getting pushed to the edge, and IoT devices, mobile phones, all that stuff. So it's inevitable that it'll get rolled out, and that bandwidth is required. So it's just a natural progression of how things have been done.
Yeah, because the whole Internet of Things, that's what it is. If we coming up with all this technology in terms of blockchain and everything, like introducing more and more connected devices to the network, and if the network can't handle it, then there's a hurdle in the technology, right? In terms of change. So I see like the whole blockage in terms of equipments and everything coming in as is a huge hurdle because we are already interconnected in that sense, and there's no way of actually blocking, and there's no point in blocking some company like Huawei and their products just because of the fact that they're closely linked to the Chinese government, the communist government. That's something in terms of security I don't see as a huge issue. I wanted to hear you guys' views on that.
The issue with security is now applied across all our technology. We don't know whether Google can go rogue on us, Apple can go rogue on us, a manufacturer based out of China being given a directive by their government can easily cause havoc all around the world. I think it's implicit that vulnerabilities are now throughout the entire chain, the entire network. The effects to privacy, the effects to national sovereignty. That's all. To be honest, I think we haven't touched that. There will be a day, the next incident, the next big catastrophe may be entirely technological.
We've had that already. There was an article that came out towards the end of 2018 where the Australian Defence Force has detected a lot of bad data spoofing coming from China, and a few noted Australian companies have been targeted by hackers from China, which have been linked to a certain extent already to the Chinese government. And that's also the actual physical spies that are here, i.e. of some of the students that are here at the university. That's another thing that came out. I can't remember if it was 2018 or even sort of towards the end of 2017. So it's happened. It's already happening.
We're so far down the track in terms of the technology that's already in the grid that is no point in saying no to it now. You're already connected, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, Ian.
Think about it this way. When China hacks and they're using institution, it's a problem. When Russia hacks and they're helping Donald Trump get elected, that's not a big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's actually about whose side of the fence you're on.
Every country's doing it. Every country,
exactly. Australia's hacking someone, China's hacking someone, US is hacking someone. Everyone's hacking everyone. So at the end of the day, everyone kind of knows everything.
Because you've got to remember, it's not just hacking; it's viruses and all the rest of it. There was one of the biggest, most complex virus was a few years ago called Stuxnet, and what that did was it got into Iran's uranium program and caused problems there. So, and that was allegedly a US and Israel backed thing. So every country's doing it, and they're all, again, it's all very new. It's all very new. It's a new battlefield, and that's why you're seeing these things, because there's things going on and people are trying to get their head around it, and then they're politically they're reacting. So
I was recently deciding whether I wanted to get a new phone or not, and one of the phones I was looking at was the Huawei phone, and all this was happening in the background about US banning and Australia banning and all this kind of stuff. And it didn't actually stop me at all from going, I'll pick this phone. It actually didn't matter to me, which I found quite interesting. But in my mind, I feel sorry for my little Chinese brother in Shenzhen who's listening to my conversation about, whatever I'm rabbiting on about. It's probably a boring day. So it's one of those things, right? Like maybe it might bite you in the butt in the future, but and maybe I can't see far enough in the future to predict how that technology could hurt me. But at this point, I think I'm a regular average person, and I don't think a regular average person would have any issues at this stage.
Definitely. It's an interesting question to be asked from the consumer side. Like, if the normal users don't mind having a Huawei phone, and the government is so trying to catch up right now with saying that the equipment's not shouldn't be there, it's a losing battle. If Australia falls behind the world again in terms of, because we already fall behind in terms of broadband, we're just still getting NBN up to speed. And if we're going to fall behind in terms of 5G as well, because of the whole hurdle, then the impact on the Australian consumer is going to be huge.
With the Huawei product, they're not going to get any more information than Facebook's already got. I would be more worried about Facebook and other people than
Any other.
potentially getting into my phone.
Yeah, Facebook is winning the race in terms of data capturing.
And
But Fa-
Google's not
Facebook
far
is-
behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Facebook is like they're the action. It's all the advertising companies behind Facebook that basically pull all that information together and pick a thumbprint of what you are. They probably got more information than somebody is trying to collect a Hawaii phone.
Yeah, see,
And
because
then
if you think about it, the way Google and Facebook so ingrained in our life, like you were saying, Ian, the whole Google Home and having it in the car or in the phone, like any activity you're doing is already captured in their services. So, in terms of Huawei having another piece of the pie, it's inevitable.
What
right?
more are they going to get?
And would China even be like interested in what Ian's had for lunch, maybe, or what I've had, what I've had for dinner? I don't think that'd be too interested.
Yeah,
in
very interested.
Actually, if you think about data is only useful once someone thinks of a reason to use it, right? So at the moment, it's just mass data, just collect everything. And then someone goes, hold on, I need a demographic. I need an age bracket between 30 to 42, and I want them to be male. I want them to be interested in this and this. Okay, cool. Bang. Now that information is practical. It could be applied. You can sell to it. You can market to it. You can target them some way. So data is only valuable once there's a use for it. So whether it's Google or Facebook or some government collecting data, they just store it until they need it. And we don't know really what the future will bring, and this is how it will be applied.
But this is sorry to interrupt, but this is not a new concept. I mean, when Australia went through the mass outsourcing 20 years ago in banks and public health under the Howard government, there were data breaches back then 20 years ago, or there were third-party companies which were actually selling our information to anyone and everyone, and that was 20 years ago. So that was
That's
scary.
right. But the difference, though, is there's enough data on each individual to be quite good at predicting future behavior. So we can predict where a person will click, what they will like, what we can market to them, what they will probably want to do in the future. We can put them we can understand their stage of life. So we know, okay, at the moment they're at this age bracket, they'll probably want to be looking to buy a house, then maybe buy a car, then and so on and so on. So you can then start predicting things and actually map out a person's activities ahead of, even before the person even realizes that they even want that.
But this is the rub, and this is where it gets super scary, is that let's say that Johnny Joe Blogs, who is having data collected on him, and at age 10, there's enough data to predict that he will be a serial killer based on previous serial killers and the information that they've provided. Now, do we lock up little Johnny on the spot if he's a threat? Like, this comes back to that age-old question, and I love how every conversation goes back to Hitler. But would you kill baby Hitler? Like, if you could know, and with this technology, you potentially could.
If you can predict someone's behavior, then you can also stop them from doing something. So instead of punishing, you will commit a crime 20 years in the future, we'll punish you now. Just block that activity. Like, find ways of diverting their course. To understand someone's behavior and predict it means you actually understand human behavior. You then hope you'll be able to change someone's mind or influence them to do something different. It doesn't necessarily have to be so doom and gloom. If I know Doug is going to come around to shoot me tomorrow, or maybe I'll give him a case of beer today, just in case he may change his mind. So it's one of those things. Data can be find a use for it, and then you can start slaughtering prospective criminals at an early age, but wouldn't it be better to make them into nice, happy, pliable consumers instead?
What you got to remember is the amount of data there is. You've got like this is massive amount of data. As you said, you start to predict these things, but there's so much data.
Yeah.
Like there's so much data, and what they're also doing is they're only getting the metadata. Metadata gives you a lot. Like it says, "Oh, I visited Spiro," but it doesn't know what we talked about. It doesn't know the detail. It just knows, "Oh, I visited you on this date, and you visited Ian on this date." So like they're getting better and better, and that's why obviously this big machine learning and AI comes in, because that will then sit through and trawl. But there's a long way to go. And again, governments have to understand how they legislate this as well. It's not going to be an easy task in the future.
Yeah, I think we're just still at the tip of the iceberg in terms of data capturing. We're not there yet in terms of the detail of level, like the conversations we're having, unless we put this in our podcast and we have it.
Well, government will only ever react once something happens for them to then make legislation about it. So there has to be a crime, there has to be something, an activity that they go, we don't like that now, let's legislate against it. So
that's where it gets scary, right? Because if you're going against the state and the scenario of a whistleblower and someone else out there is trying to get you, like the enemy of the state, that's what it is. Then you become, all this data then can be screwed up against you.
And that's obviously why people then want to have backdoors and encryption and break encryption, so that they potentially could have that anonymity,
I mean, like we're talking about extreme cases now, but I mean, the simpler case would be, do you have banks who can predict that someone, due to their behavior, is less likely to repay their loan, or they got someone that's more inclined to speed, so maybe we won't give them a driver's license, or that's when it becomes control. And it seems small and seems like, oh, that seems like a good idea. Let's prevent people that can't afford to pay loans from getting loans. And that makes sense on the surface. But then suddenly that person who could have been rehabilitated won't get rehabilitated because it's actually too hard. It's not a case of let's prevent serial killers. It's a case of, well, we can't be bothered to teach you how to use money, so we'll just start veering you into your lot in life based on preconceived conditions.
Yeah, see, that's the scary part, because if you think about the insurance aspect of this, life insurance, health insurance, and everything like that, where if they can predict how much your life expectancy is and all that sort of thing, and let you know, it gets to a point where you're like, okay, I don't want to know about this, and you can't predict my life in the way that you can say that I'm going to be living up to this certain amount of age and I'm going to be getting this certain disease, or I'm going to get hit, or whatever it is. Then that's the fine line, right?
Yeah, I think also.
How long do you think it'll be before the health insurance companies ask for your Fitbit data?
Yeah, well, that's what it is.
How sedentary are you? How much do you walk? How much do you exercise? And all of a sudden they start to put that into their calculations.
They would already be doing it, to some certain level. Actuaries and insurance companies calculating mass amounts of information to be able to actually predict people and score them, so they can give them the policies that match their risk profile.
Yep.
It's what they do. I think the other interesting thing is that there's a false belief post-Enlightenment Renaissance that we have free will in the first place. So that's another conversation for another day.
Oh, yeah.
I actually don't think free will in itself is a bit of a murky area. So if a computer will be able to predict what we do, we don't even know why we do half the things we do. So
that's a good way to finish it, because that's what it is. It can predict to a certain degree, and that's what it can do. It won't ever be able to predict 100% the human behavior, and that's something we must always be conscious of, that the human free will is always a very gray area. With that, we'll leave you guys to ponder over that for the year that is going to be 2019. We will leave it to the listeners to make up your decision if you want to go with the Huawei product, whether you guys are going to be getting an electric car, or whether you're getting some Bitcoins as well. Something to think about with that. We hope you guys liked it. Adios.
You have been listening to the Lunchtime Special podcast. Find us on iTunes, Castbox, Spreaker and SoundCloud. Our intro music is Household Gods by Skin Cage. Until next time.